Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today, we have a two-part lesson, as we do every month. You can see here on page 17, I'll read through the first article, and after I read it, we'll go over each and every sentence, as we always do, both in English and Chinese. Ancient whale from Peru might be the heaviest animal ever.
这我们的中文标题是秘鲁史前巨鲸或成最大哺乳动物，就是或许会成为最大的哺乳动物。
Massive fossils unearthed over a decade ago in the Peruvian desert have now been identified as a new species, an ancient sea giant named Perucetus colossus. This colossal whale from Peru lived about 40 million years ago and was even bigger than today's blue whale, by far the largest animal in the world. While not as long as the blue whale, this ancient giant was incredibly heavy due to its dense bones. Measuring about 20 meters in length, the colossal whale outdid all other animals in terms of sheer weight, possibly weighing up to 375 tons. This puts it ahead of even the biggest blue whales, which weigh around 200 tons. Giovanni Bianucci, the study's lead scientist from the University of Pisa in Italy, noted that this ancient giant's weight surpasses that of any known creature and even some of the mightiest dinosaurs.
It is truly big. So massive fossils. Massive is bigger than big. It's like the biggest big you can think of. It is massive. And so these fossils are the traces of old animals that have turned to stone. Like the shape of their bones have been encased not in rock, but what used to be sediment, which hardened into rock over time. So these are fossils. They were unearthed. They were dug up over a decade ago. So already 10 years ago, these fossils were dug up in the Peruvian desert. But now, finally, we know who they are or what they were. They have been identified, and they have been identified as a new species, a brand new species we didn't know about before, of an ancient sea giant named Perucetus colossus. So, of course, it comes from Peru. That's the first part. And cetus has to be whale, so it's like Peruvian whale. And then colossus is like big. It's super big. It's the super big Peruvian whale.
OK, 我们看到一开始他说 massive 就是很大 large in mass， 那通常很大又很重那种感觉。那很大的这个化石，而且不止一个化石，它加了 s fossils。那 unearthed 就是出土或者是挖掘出来 over a decade ago， 已经超过10年前出土的一些很大的化石。在哪里出土呢？在这个秘鲁的沙漠里面出土的这些大化石呢 have now been identified as， 它现在已经被辨认出来，被确定是什么呢？ A new species， 它是一种新的物种。那是什么新的物种呢？一个 dash 最后告诉你，它是一种古老的 sea giant， 就是这个海洋的巨兽 named， 它的名字叫做秘鲁巨鲸。那 colossus 这个字呢，就是巨大的人或者是物。那它的形容词我们下面会看到 colossal， 就是很大很大很大的意思。
This colossal whale from Peru lived about 40 million years ago and was even bigger than today's blue whale, by far the largest animal in the world. So this sentence tells us how big is colossal. First, they tell us that you can go swimming. You don't have to worry about one of these guys eating you because it lived a long time ago. Even the blue whale, which is now the largest animal on our planet, was not so large, but we have to make that clear in the next sentence or two when we say large what we're talking about. But we know that it was bigger than today's blue whale. In what way, we don't know, but we find out soon.
好，所以我们这里看到他说呢，这一个 colossal 这个形容词出来了。colossal 这种巨大哦，它跟别的大差别在哪里？ colossal 通常会让你觉得会有那种敬畏的感觉，大到让你觉得有敬畏感，或者是会让你觉得很难置信啊，怎么会有这么大的东西？ 真的 colossal。所以这一只巨鲸呢，它大概生活在距今4000万年前，那它是 even bigger， 它甚至于比这个还大。比什么大呢？今天的蓝鲸要大。好，那注意那个蓝鲸的重音在前面 blue whale， 你如果念 blue whale 那是蓝色的鲸鱼，那 blue whale 才是这个蓝鲸的意思。那蓝鲸它后面又继续修饰一下，逗点之后呢省略了一个 which is， 所以这是个非限定的关系代名词子句。所以蓝鲸是什么呢？ by far 就是 by a large amount， 是大大的超越。那 by far the largest animal in the world 是世界上最大的动物。那 by far 的意思就是它比其他的动物都大上很多，所以 by far 是这个意思。
So the sentence we just read said that this whale was bigger than today's blue whale, and the next sentence says that it was not as long as the blue whale. So what I'm hearing is wide. This guy was really, really wide. Okay. And this ancient giant was also incredibly heavy due to its dense bones. If something is dense, it means it packs more weight per square inch or cubic inch. Let's do centimeters. It has more weight per cubic centimeters than other things. So if my bones are denser than say Bruce's, if we were the same size and shape otherwise, I would be heavier than him because my bones are denser.
好，所以 while 是虽然 not as long as 它不是没有那么长。没有什么那么长呢 The blue whale 它虽然没有蓝鲸那么长，所以它身长没有超过蓝鲸，但是呢这一个古老的巨兽呢它是 incredibly heavy， incredibly 就是 unbelievably 令人无法置信的重，它非常的重。那原因是 due to 它的怎么样 dense bones 它高密度的骨头， dense 就是很浓密的密度很高的due to 是因为的意思。
Okay, our second paragraph. Measuring about 20 meters in length, the colossal whale outdid all other animals in terms of sheer weight, possibly weighing up to 375 tons. So in the first paragraph, we had that line, even bigger than today's blue whale. However, in the second paragraph, what is bigger is not its length, because today's blue whale is long. I don't know exactly how many meters it is, but it is over 20 meters. And this colossal whale from deep history was about 20 meters. The difference, why do we say that the old whale is bigger than today's whale? It's the sheer weight. If you just look at the weight and possibly the size, she said width, and I would say girth, but they mean the same thing. Girth also means width. So it wasn't round, but it was certainly thick-bodied.
It was thick with a double C.
好，所以呢这个地方我们可以看到 measuring 就是它的尺寸，那在这里是个分词，这个动词它后面可以直接加你的尺寸是多少，所以它有一点像联系动词，所以我们看到 measuring 后面直接加它的长度是大概20公尺，那 in length 就特别强调在长度上面是超过20公尺。那这个巨大的鲸鱼呢 outdid 它的原型当然是 outdo， 它的意思就是赢过 to do better or more than 的意思，所以它比其他的动物呢，它赢过所有其他的动物。那注意要加这个 other， 因为它本身也是个 animal， 所以这英文要讲 all other animals。那在哪方面赢过其他动物呢？ In terms of 就是在哪方面的意思？它在哪方面呢？在 sheer weight， 它在这个重量方面，这个赢过其他动物。那这个 sheer 它常常放在名词前面，它是用来强调大或者重等等的，它英文大概你可以解释成 absolute 的意思， sheer weight 就重量就赢过其他所有的动物了。好，然后呢 possibly 可能 weighing up to weighing 这个 weigh 跟这个 measure 一样，后面可以直接加一个数字，那 weigh 表示重量，所以它重量怎么样？可能会高达 up to 是高达，它重量可能高达375吨。那刚刚 Bruce 老师介绍到一个字，就是我们讲这个鲸鱼，它刚刚用到一个字 wide， 那其实另外一个字呢 girth 这个字其实就是像我们讲腰围那个字，就是 girth Girth。
So that weight puts it ahead of even the biggest blue whales, which weigh around 200 tons. So, blue whales are long, but they are not round. Whereas I really think the more that, they're twice as heavy. They've got to be round because they're not long. They're shorter and twice as heavy. These dudes are round.
好，所以呢，这个片语啊 ，put it ahead of 就是使它超越的意思啊，把它放到什么的前面去，就让它超越了。所以它这个375吨的这个重量呢，让它超越了，即使是最大的蓝鲸。那最大的蓝鲸呢 ，which 就是指最大的蓝鲸，它的重量大概是200吨。那可是现在发现这个巨鲸呢，它可以重到375吨，几乎是它2倍。所以 Angel 老师说，这个应该是它没有蓝鲸那么长，那显然它应该是很宽很圆的一种鲸鱼。
Giovanni Bianucci, the study's lead scientist from the University of Pisa in Italy, noted that this ancient giant's weight surpasses that of any known creature and even some of the mightiest dinosaurs. So this was found not necessarily in Italy, but by an Italian scientist. And as he studied this, it took them a long time to clean and prepare the skeleton or the fossil from this huge whale. He noted that this ancient giant's weight surpasses, 超过, it's more than that of any known creature. This is definitely the heaviest, even when compared to some of the mightiest dinosaurs that you have seen in Jurassic Park. They're plant-eating, very long necks, very long tails, and very, very, very heavy, thick bodies. But even those are lighter than this whale.
好，所以呢，我们来看看这一句，他说这个这里讲到这个一个科学家的名字，那他是谁呢？同位语告诉你，他是这个研究的 lead scientist。lead 这个字在这里是主要的意思 ，principal principal 或者 most important。我们也常讲的 lead author of a research paper 就这个意思。所以这个研究主要的这个科学家呢，领导的这个最重要的科学家，主持的科学家呢，他是在这个意大利的 The University of Pisa。那 noted that 他指出说，这个古老鲸鱼它的 weight 它的重量呢 surpass 就是 to be greater than 的意思，它的重量超过了 that of any known creature， 比任何已知生物都还要重。然后这个 that 就是指 weight， 所以它的 weight 超过了the weight of any known creature， 然后呢，甚至会超过一些 the mightiest dinosaurs。 mighty 就在这里，就是这个也是很巨大很有力量很巨大的一些恐龙，所以它比一些这个最大的恐龙可能还要重。那但这个句子的意思就是说，可能有一些恐龙比它还重，所以它用 some 这个字。
So what did we learn today? What did you learn, Bruce?
I learned that I'm not the fattest animal that ever lived.
You are far from the fattest animal that ever lived. But the question here is, why is Perucetus colossus such a heavy animal?
好，那问题是它为什么这么重呢？
The answer is due to its dense bones or because it has dense bones.
所以是它的这个骨头的重量使它变得使它这个非常重。那我们前面有讲到，其实它就是有 dense bones， 它的骨头非常的密，这个密度很高。
Okay, our second short article now. Panama Canal faces crisis amid drought. Ships stranded.
好，我们的中文标题是巴拿马运河大塞船。那这个 faces crisis 就是面临的危机， crisis 是危机， amid 就是在什么当中，那 drought 就是干旱或者旱灾，那 ships stranded 就是船，这个 strand 这个本来是搁浅的意思，那在这里就是困住了，船都被困住了。
The Panama Canal, a vital trade route, is in crisis as 161 ships clog its waters, well above the usual 90 seen during rainy seasons. Global companies are seeking alternative routes due to this logjam. The Canal Authority introduced a new booking condition to manage the situation, limiting booking slots until August 21st. This change aims to clear congestion for ships already waiting or on their way. The canal is faced with both congestion and a persistent drought. These problems have a global impact, especially on the United States, which heavily depends on the canal for trade. Almost 40% of U.S. container traffic valued at around $270 billion goes through the canal each year. As the canal struggles with this unprecedented challenge, its ability to balance commerce and environmental concerns remains in the spotlight.
Okay, so the Panama Canal is a very vital trade route. If something is vital, it means it's important to life. Now, important to whose life? Important to the economic life of this planet, because if you want to get from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean or vice versa, you either have to go all the way around the bottom of the tip of South America where there is massive rocks and very bad storms and a lot of problems, and that is a really long way, or you take the Panama Canal, which cuts the Americas right through at its narrowest point, which is Panama. It goes, well, not exactly, because that involves like many, many locks and going up and down mountains and a lot of trouble. But it's still less trouble than going all the way around South America. So it is a vital trade route, the Panama Canal. And it is in crisis. There is a huge problem as 161 ships, a lot of ships, clog its waters. Now, if your drain is clogged, it means that it's very hard for the water to drain out. If your ships are clogging a channel, it means that it's very, very hard to get the ships through. And having 161 ships clogging its waters is well above the usual 90 seen during rainy seasons. So during rainy seasons, they tend to have a lot of ships, but they got like almost twice as many, and that's a problem.
OK， 我们看到这个巴拿马运河呢，同位语告诉你它是 a vital trade route。Vital 就是跟生命有关的，就没有它会死的那种重要性，所以是极为重要的一个 trade 是贸易 route 路线，所以巴拿马运河是一个非常重要的贸易路线。那怎么样呢？巴拿马运河 is in crisis， 它正处于危机，它陷入了危机。As 是因为有161艘船 clog its waters。clog 这个字呢，就各位记得，就是水管阻塞，就是用这个字 clog 阻塞 block up 的意思。那 waters 就是水域，特别通常是一个国家它所属的一个水域，所以161艘船堵塞在巴拿马运河的水域里面。那这个数字呢是 well above， 是远远高于 well 是修饰那个 above， 远远高于 the usual 90， 所以一般是大概90艘船等着要过这个巴拿马运河，但现在有161艘船塞在那边。那这个 seen during rainy seasons 就是通常在雨季的时候呢，会通常是有90艘船会塞在那边，但是现在有161艘塞在那里，远远超过一般的雨季的时候的高峰90艘。
Global companies are seeking alternative routes due to this log jam.Global companies are those which do business in at least 2 and sometimes 20 or 50 different countries, and they're going from the Atlantic to the Pacific or the other way. They want alternative routes because of this log jam. Think of a traffic jam in the ocean on a canal, and you've got the picture.
好，所以 global companies 就是全球的公司 are seeking， 大家现在都在找 are searching for， 那 alternative routes 就是替代性的路线 alternative 就替代性的路线 due to 因为这一个 log jam， 这个跟我们刚刚 Bruce 老师讲的 traffic jam 就是塞车，那 log 本来就是木头，所以这个 log jam 本来指的是河里面很多伐木业他们会利用河来运输他们砍下来的木头，那个木头如果太多塞在那边的时候，那就是一个 log jam， 所以它是引申成为这个堵塞 any blockage 或者是一个 massive accumulation。 blockage 就是 block 的名词 blockage。The
Canal Authority introduced a new booking condition to manage the situation. And a booking condition, it's like terms and conditions. It's the rule for how you can book things. And this rule was limiting booking slots until August 21st. A booking slot is what? It's a time period in which you're allowed to use the canal. So generally a booking slot will be like you can enter the canal on such a date at such a time, and you must exit the canal by such a date and such a time. And that probably includes like you should be through XYZ lock at XYZ time. So like you're given a booking slot. It's like, booking the dentist. The dentist will tell you have to show up on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And if you miss your booking, you got to reorganize. You got to reset your time. So ships are the same way with the canal. So until August 21st, they're limiting the number of ships that are going to be allowed to use the canal, basically.
好，所以呢，这个运河的管理当局 The Canal Authority introduced 就实施一个新的预约的条款，这个 booking condition， 它目的是要能够 manage the situation 来处理来管控这个状况。然后后面分词告诉你，它大概是在做什么呢？这新的条款是 limiting， 它会限制 booking slots， 这个 slot 就是时段，所以一直到8月21号以前的这个可以预约、可以预定的时段，它会把它做限制。
This change aims to clear congestion for ships already waiting or on their way. So the purpose of limiting booking slots was to slow down faraway ships and allow them to come in only under certain times so there won't be so many ships heading towards or leaving the Panama Canal. They do that with traffic sometimes as well.When they know there are going to be many, many, many cars on the road, or if the weather conditions are bad, they will purposefully slow down one lane to make it safer.
They do this with the subway escalators. It's harder to get in the subway station than it is to get out of it, generally.
好，所以这个改变呢 aims to 目的是要 clear 要清除 congestion 就是拥塞 for ships 就清除船的拥塞就是塞船的清除这个塞船。那这些船子怎么样是 already waiting 已经在那边等的船，还有呢 on their way 就正要往巴拿马运河那边去的这些船，就他们已经塞住了，所以这个目的这个改变是希望能够清除这些拥塞。
So the canal is faced with both congestion and a persistent drought. So this is a very tidy way to say that there are two problems in the canal. They're faced with two problems. The first one is congestion. You know, what we just described, too many ships want to go through. And the second one is a persistent drought. A drought is a lack of water. Persistent means it just keeps going on and going on. And that means the canal's waters are lower. So it's harder to get ships through. It takes them longer.
好，所以我们可以看到这个 canal is faced with 它面临的两件事情，一个是拥塞这个 congestion， 另外一个是 a persistent drought。 persistent 就是拒绝改善的，就是很持续不断的不会停的一个干旱。
These problems have a global impact, especially on the United States, which heavily depends on the canal for trade. Well, you've certainly heard of the Panama Canal because it's such an important institution, actually, between North and South America. Lots of trade goes from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific or Pacific to the Atlantic. And the U.S., especially, when they want to ship things from the west coast of the U.S. to the east coast or the other way, they depend on the canal because it is cheaper, or was, compared to trucking goods from one side of the country to the other.
好，所以这些问题呢 have a global impact 就是对全球造成的影响啊，它有一个全球性的影响，也就是对全球造成的影响 especially 尤其是 on the United States on 是跟 impact 来的，所以它有一个 global impact 尤其是个 impact on 尤其对于美国来讲冲击更大。那美国状况怎么样呢？后面补充一下 which 就是指美国，它 heavily depends on 就很大程度的依赖 the canal这条运河 for trade 在贸易上面呢非常重度的依赖这一条运河。
So almost 40% of U.S. container traffic. What's container traffic? Containers are the standardized shipping unit now. It's those giant boxes that are like really long and kind of like the size of like a super long house. Which
A big bus.
Like a big bus. People actually, you know, buy old containers and turn them into houses because they're big enough for that. So these containers are what's used as the unit of transportation. And so the traffic of these containers, the moving around of these containers, 40% of it is valued at $270 billion US. And this goes through that canal each year. So if the canal gets stuck, that is a lot of money that is just sitting around. Just
not
sitting around,
earning money.
Not earning money, yeah.
OK, 我们看到他说几乎有40%的 美国的 container 是货柜 traffic 是运输，所以美国几乎有 40% 的货柜运输，然后呢后面打个逗点省略了 which is 就是修饰这个40% 的美国货柜运输呢 which is valued at 它的价值大概是多少呢 at 是一个数额，所以用 at 这个介系词，它的数额大概是2700亿美元，这么多钱的这个货柜运输呢 goes through 这些货柜运输会通过这个运河 each year， 所以每年通过巴拿马运河的美国的这个货柜运输价值差不多是美金2700亿。
As the canal struggles with this unprecedented challenge, its ability to balance commerce and environmental concerns remains in the spotlight. So the canal is a company, and it struggles with this challenge of not enough water, too many ships, and many others. This is unprecedented. There has never been such a situation before at this level or this much of a problem. So it challenges their ability to pay attention to what they're trying to do, and that is increase trade and actually make it cheaper, as well as protect the environment. Now that there is much less rain than usual, that has become a problem.
好，所以 as 就当这个运河呢 struggles with 就是和什么搏斗，它和什么搏斗呢？这个运河正在跟这一个 this unprecedented 就是前所未有的 challenge 挑战，所以这是一个前所未有的挑战，那个运河正在想办法克服这个挑战。在这个时候呢，它的 ability to balance 它的能力，什么能力呢？它要平衡两件事情，一边是 commerce 贸易，另外一边是 environmental concerns 就是环境方面的隐忧，这两方面要如何平衡贸易的需求跟环境的影响，这样的一个能力呢 remains in the spotlight， 就这个运河这样的能力仍然是 remains in the spotlight， the spotlight 就是焦点，所以大家的焦点仍然放在这个运河有没有办法平衡贸易跟环境方面的隐忧。
So what have we learned? Our question now is, what are two major problems that the Panama Canal is battling right now? What are these two problems?
好，现在巴拿马运河正在对抗的两个主要问题是什么呢？
One, of course, is the drought, because not enough water makes it more expensive to use the canal. And the other is the amount of traffic. There are too many ships to go through the canal right now. So the answer is congestion or ship congestion and a persistent drought.
好，所以简单的说，一个就是持续的干旱，另外一个就是 congestion， 就是这个塞船的问题。
Okay, if you can stand us, come back again later this month. We have a couple more articles for you until the next month. Till then, bye-bye.